Welcome back to episode 3 um, of my journey and defining backwards. Um, Last week was the worst week of my life. It was crazy. It was full of ups and downs. It was full of a bunch of different things that I felt like I needed to record and get off my chest. Um, it also opened up my eyes to a lot of things. A lot of the demons that I've been fighting with for a long time. A lot of things that I didn't really think were going to be like brought to the light per se. Um, I took some notes on some questions that I've been asking myself all week, just to try to go through what it is I'd like for the viewers to understand and how their personal journey is probably going to be the same as mine. One of the first questions were the patterns that I could no longer blame on other people. I get angry very quickly about things, um, and sometimes I go from 0 to 100 real quick. I know that that's something that people, associate with somebody who gets mad and then is really like all over the place. For me, it's my body tells me when I'm getting angry. My ears get hot, my face gets balled up, my mouth gets dry, my fingers start to tingle. Um, but they were all things that I had bypassed. It's one of those things where it's like your safety, your all your safety mechanisms are going off. All of your things are going, hey, let's stop. Let's keep this down to a minimum. And instead of listening to my body, I actually allowed it to like really go and say like really take over. I got angry, and when I got to that point when I should have just been walked away or just stopped, it was like, keep going, keep pressing, keep saying that you're right, keep saying that you're right. And everybody around me, they didn't want to be around me anymore. After some reflections and doing some breath work and figuring out what it was that I wanted to see, I came to the realization that even though you can know all of the things that trigger you, you can know all of the things that really make it hard for you to stop and then not stop. Um, it's a big difference when you notice it and you stop yourself, and when you notice it and you keep going, and then you have to reanalyze and rethink about everything that's going on. Um, so I started to see some things afterwards, like what I perceived as disrespect, other people didn't perceive as disrespect. So then when it started happening to me, I was like, wow, like this is disrespectful. But I had to really sit back and think, what was it that caused the disrespect? What was it that really made everyone else okay with doing these things? And then after journaling, I probably wrote about 40 or 50 pages of journaling this week, just trying to ask myself a bunch of questions, um, and figure out what it was that I needed. What would I have told myself if I was 12, 13, 14 years old? I watch my boys, and I see a lot of the things starting to develop in them that don't necessarily have to continue. They're protective pathways that I have that I'm passing on to them, and they're not in any way, shape, or form okay. They're not like they're not. I don't really have the words for it right now, but it breaks my heart to see they are following in the footsteps because I'm their dad. Um, but just to notice it, and then notice it on a grand scale. You might feel like something has happened and you can't get any redemption, and you hope, yeah, I'm gonna get some redemption from this, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you will. Understanding that when when you hurt somebody, they heal in their own time. They don't heal when you want them to. Me personally, something happens and I'm over it. I've learned in my life that life is life. It's going to keep on lifing. And it's going to show your true character when you sit down and you wonder and you look back on all the different things that you did and all the different people that you hurt. And then you question. You really question yourself. Why do you do these things? Who does it hurt? What can you do to stop it? And that's kind of where the defining backwards came from. I wrote the book because I was tired of living in that same minutia, that same thing going on and everybody going, oh, well, you can change, or we have hopes in you. One of the biggest words that I used to hate growing up was potential. I always believed that if you had it, you had it. If you didn't, you didn't. So when somebody say, oh yeah, you have potential, that's like a slap in the face to me. I couldn't really understand why I thought it was a slap in the face until very recently when somebody told my oldest that he had potential to be a great basketball player. And I'm super proud of him and super excited to see his journey. At the same time, when they said that, I was like, it took me back to a place and that I really wasn't comfortable in, and I had to express that. And me and the gentleman who was actually speaking with me said, potential can be good or bad. You can have the potential to do great things, but if you never reach that potential, that's all it is potential. So what I'm learning as I grow and evolve is that when you have the knowledge of something, you can know everything and still not put it to use, and it's useless. I talked to a number of people and they were always talking about defining. Like, I was very big on defining the terms, defining whatever it was that I needed to do. You define your job every day. You have to go in, do your job, go home. For me, when I wrote the defining book, the defining backwards book, it was very interesting because it came at a time when I felt like I needed it, but I also felt like I was in a position that I knew it all. I don't know it all. And it really is important to come to that understanding with yourself and with your family that even though you're the head of the household, you don't know it all. Decisions are going to get made without you. There's going to be times in your life where you're like, oh, this should have went this way, but it didn't. Then you got to figure out why they didn't go that way. And I know, like, watching, for those of you who are watching the videos, it can kind of go back and forth. Like, I decided to start the channel because I think it's important for people to have a voice and people to talk about things. But I also wanted to bring up that there are resources and tools that we can learn. Like, over the last, I'd say 3 months, ChatGPT has given me so much information. And whether it be ChatGPT, whether it be Claude, whether it be Google, Gemini, whether it be Google, just Googling the information. You can put a prompt in, a question that you would ask yourself, or like, why does she do this? Why does a person do this? And then give them your perspective, and they're going to come back and they're going to give you the information that you need. Now, I wouldn't go too far into that because there are things that are on there that really don't align, and there's context. And I think context is very important for everything that we're going to discuss on the channel and be open about. But one of the things for me, the context is I can only give my side of the story. And I'm sure if there were other people around, my kids, my wife, other coaches that I've dealt with, other men, other women that I've dealt with, they would give you a completely different story. I can give you the story from my perspective and how I'm growing and learning. Um, but it's definitely a journey. It's fun. It's not always great, but there's always going to be ups and downs, and that's how you know you're living. One of the things that really stands out to me in this moment is you don't got to do it alone. There's hundreds of thousands of people out there that are just looking for somebody to say, "Hey, I validate what you're saying. It is right, but there's a different way to handle it." But together we can all come together and do it one page, one choice, one journey at a time. Thanks.